With me is the top management at L&T, Mr. AM Naik, needs no introduction, and Mr. Jaruna, who has been handling L&T Infotech. Sir, firstly, congratulations on the IPO. Mr. Naik, I would like to start with you first. What does it mean for L&T? Third straight offering which is coming in for people. How important is this for you?
Well, L&T Infotech is a very important business in the overall scheme of things in L&T Group. You see, L&T Group is divided into three major sectors. One is manufacturing of very high-tech equipment for nuclear and defense and aerospace and so on. And that represents roughly 15%. The manufacturing sector represents 15%, which has some risk. But the project group, which is about 75% of the company, has a very high risk. All over the world, every company has gone through some bad project or the other, in different geography, different set of conditions, and so on. And therefore, if you study all over the world, this sector, nobody makes more than 3% to 4%. In fact, many of them 2%, and many loses money every year. And L&T Group is making about 6%, which is by far the highest in that sector, although low compared to many other sectors where the profit is much higher. Third sector is service sector. If you really look at the profitability, the manufacturing has about 8.5%, the project has about 6.5%, and services has about 15%. There are four companies in service sector. One is L&T Infotech, which is going IPO today. One is L&T Technology, which is the engineering side of it. And L&T Realty, because we are exploiting our industrial land, having transferred those companies in the interior of India. Now, that's under real estate development. And risk is very little there for the reason that the land is all ours. And then L&T Finance, which we launched about 5 years ago. Now, this whole sector is a cushion to the, let's say, project sector. We lost, as you know, in hydrocarbon more than 2,000 crore a few years ago when we started our operations in Middle East, and that was more of a learning curve. But had we not got these four sectors, all in services, a 2,500 crore profit, our result as a group would have been very much suffering. I think having got this, we still did reasonably well compared to any other project company in the world,
Right, sir.
let alone India. So I think it is a very important part of our overall portfolio balancing, and will always remain even more important in future. So therefore, our service sector is doing around 12%. We would like, including L&T Realty, Finance and all of that, to increase it to about 20%.
Right.
The project exposure, we would like to bring it down from 75% to 67, 68%. And therefore, all of this sector has an interrelationship of a kind that while individual sector may have some businesses becoming redundant, overall weightage will remain the way I said. Will increase for services, decrease for project, will remain almost same, except the character of the technological advancement will come into manufacturing.
So basically you're saying that because services business is a much more stable business, it gives you the flexibility to, report better numbers or, report stable numbers.
Stable numbers.
Right. So, for our viewers, of course, this is coming in as a new IPO and, it's a new company. Can you just introduce the company for our viewers? What do we essentially do in very basic terms? What does L&T Infotech do and how does it make money?
Okay, so this is the sixth largest IT services company out of India. It comes from the makers of India's dreams, L&T, Larsen & Toubro Group. And we last year grew by 9.5% in dollar terms, 13.8% in constant currency to $887 million. We are present all across the sector. We are present in manufacturing, we are present in energy, we are present in retail, CPG, banking and financial services, and insurance account for 47% of our revenues. We have 250 plus customers, really marquee customers who anyone would be very proud to work with. And that's the inherent strength that we have as an organization. We are very, very focused. The last 10 years has seen upwards of 20% CAGR. And we are very differentiated in the marketplace, especially at the convergence of physical and digital. And that's what our customers like about us.
Right. Can you also just tell us about some of your top clients? Who are they, and some where does your geographical revenues come in from?
So we have customers in all sectors that I talked about, six primary sectors that we work in. There are a couple of sectors couple of clients who are listed in our red herring. A couple of them are in the press articles, so I can talk about Citibank being the largest customer for us. The relationship is in its 15th year. We work with Chevron for over 10 years. That's a very marquee relationship for us. As far as geographical presence goes, we have close to 68-69% coming out of US. Europe is growing, and that is one area we want to grow even more. That region that we want to grow more, today it's at 17%. India is 5%, which includes 2.5% coming out of, 2.4% coming out of L&T Group.
Right. So if you could just tell us that, L&T as a brand, not only Infotech, is much bigger and, very well trusted. How will the Infotech business, or, how they have been using it, or how essentially they will use it to grow further? Because even in IT, you need a very strong brand.
Well, in any business, you need a very strong brand, and that comes from many dimension. One is by itself, fundamentally, the performance of the company has to be damn good, has to be very good. Second, its culture, its value system, its corporate governance, integrity, trust, all of these, L&T score very high on it. And any listed entity which wants to use L&T name will have to sign an agreement with L&T Group of really maintaining the corporate governance and integrity and such other value system in that company. Obviously, they have a full freedom of operation. They will be completely decentralized, except for where the shareholder interest comes in and where L&T as a shareholder will intervene, if at all such a need came. Mostly though it won't, because L&T Group works very closely with Infotech. Almost 60% of its revenue comes from L&T relationship and my own personal network. And many of these very big accounts are more than, as he rightly said, 12, 15-year-old, right? This is all due to L&T network, L&T relationship, and L&T group interactions with them in their core businesses. So that will continue to flow to them. Second, we have a Smart World group within L&T, which we created 3 years ago, with 150 professionals. A lot of them have come from around the world. And currently, its revenue is about 1,100 crore. This is in L&T. But it's partnering with L&T Infotech in digitalization of those solutions and applications in the different domains. So physical and digital, as Sanjay said, come together in L&T's turnkey project business. And that learning, what they get at home within the group, is not available to anyone else. So our ability to get faster with new age technology implementation and learning opportunity that we have, I think we will position our company. We have an opportunity to position much smarter and better than perhaps most companies. Right. Earlier, we were 20 years behind because we started 20 years late. I said we are now hardly 1 or 2 years behind because all companies will have to change to the new age technology offering, right? So I think we'll possibly as a whole do much better the group and the Infotech together, while giving them full freedom to operate they want to. Very important other aspect which possibly many have not realized, we are a closely held company, the last one in a way. There may be some small companies which will come up, but I don't see any new company coming up with IPO. This may be one of the last this decade. Another 8-10 years unlikely to come in this sector.
Right.
And the customer wants the company to be very transparent. They prefer the listed entity where there are governance reports and how the company is performing, very transparently seen sector by sector. And often I have faced this question from the client, why you are still closely held, when are you going public?
Right.
Now, To an extent, that will help the company because they will be able to have a more credibility with the customers since they themselves can transparently see the company performance. So all to all, I think it's a win-win situation.
Right. So you wanted to say something?
No, all I was saying was I think we have the largest playground at L&T Infotech with L&T Group. So when we help L&T Group reach industrial outcomes for, say, asset management and plant and machinery. In construction, we have 30,000 assets, and when you put sensors, etc., the learnings from there, the solutions that we are able to create, and when we take it to the marketplace, it's tremendous, right? So that is a huge asset and a differentiator for us that we derive from our parentage.
Right. So L&T as a group, even in the project business, even in the other businesses, has been growing strong. We all know about the Q4 numbers, how good they were, the guidance that was there. As L&T will grow, L&T Infotech itself will start to get more opportunities in different areas and different things that we are looking at.
I think we have a better chance for new and better opportunity for Infotech as the world have changed in its basic way of doing business. As I said, new age technologies, whether it is analytics, Internet of Things, big data, whatever that goes with it. I think all of that, if we want to remain competitive, L&T Group, we will have to very carefully see where that application will come in.
Right.
So with that, obviously the benefit will be to both. L&T will become smarter in doing its domain business, and L&T Infotech partnering with L&T will have tremendous application to virtually learn in a full-scale laboratory nobody will have. And full-scale laboratory is L&T Group.
Right. So just if you could tell us about the objects of the issue. I believe it's a full offer for sale. Money will come into L&T. Can you just tell our viewers about that?
Well, I mean, we have a
3%,
which we have, or we are now selling in this IPO. And 12% is already the stock option.
Right.
And therefore, about few percent that we will have to sell or
To make
somehow
it
to make it 25%. So that's not an issue at all. And 1,200 crore is not much for L&T. I mean, it's a small piece.
Right.
So we don't have to worry where we will use.
Mainly it is for the listing benefits, giving it to people,
As
sharing
I
it
said,
with
also to satisfy customers that the company is very, very transparent. Even though we were, and our credibility and brand was so high that we possibly didn't suffer much due to that.
Right.
But this adds to the value.
Right.
The listing adds to the value, apart from the fact that it excites employees and particularly the excitement, motivation and inspiration to catch up with the big companies, not so much in size, but in very, very, I would say, technologically advanced offering.
Right. Sanjay, if you could just, overnight there has been some news flow. I'm not sure whether you've seen about the US, bills for visa for H1. Can you just tell us how big a risk is it, not only for L&T, but, for the entire sector going ahead? A lot of noise is being made. So, can there be a lot of problems or increased cost because of that going ahead?
See, I think the important part is that in every election year we have heard some news, right? And I have seen this for the last 3 decades. We will see what really happens because international mobility is one of the important aspects of free trade the world over. But for us, specifically coming to our point, we are at 25% on-site ratios. We want to grow our business more in Europe. We have the ability that today there is a technology with the bandwidth pricing at such low levels today. People are using more FaceTime, more telepresence and so on and so forth, and the cost is a fraction of what it used to be in the past. So all these technologies will actually help you do more work at offshore directly. And second most important thing is that companies, well-run companies like us, we are investing in hiring people locally in the geographies that we operate in as well, right? And so I think it's a minor hiccup. These things have happened every year. Every election year becomes even more visible. But I think we are optimistic with the business model that we have. We are going to be just fine.
Right. Just if you could elaborate on how would you look at Europe going ahead? So, not taking names, but companies like Tech Mahindra have said that Europe is, of course, an important market. Some of the other large companies have said that, Europe may not grow, but US, may be the main growth driver going ahead as well. How would you look at Europe as a market? And as you said, what will be the growth strategy? Will you go like, some other IT companies with small acquisitions, trying to turn it around, trying to make it big?
All of the above. Actually, if you realize, Larsen and Toubro, our origins are European, right? So we are, Europe is very important. And Larsen and Toubro as a company has the maximum amount of relationships in Europe as well. If you look at Nordics area, we are one of the stronger players from India. We have a significant presence in France. We would look at both organic and inorganic in the sectors of our strength to further grow the business there.
Right. Energy is very important for you in terms of verticals, which is unlike some of the other large cap players, or maybe one or two have an important vertical. With what's happening in the energy sector, of course, very difficult to predict what's happening in. But how would you look at the overall growth coming in just from the energy space for the next couple of years?
The energy sector overall, we have seen our percentage of revenues drop in the last 2 years. But there is something which has fundamentally changed. In Q3 to Q4 of FY16, which is the quarter just gone by, we actually saw growth in our oil and gas revenues. Now, there are a couple of things which have happened. Number one, I think oil companies have understood the new norm that oil price is not going to cross, the crude is not going to cross $100 a barrel for the foreseeable future, right? So what happens is all the mission critical capital projects that were all clamped have started to open up. So we have seen a large deal in this space in the last 4 months. We have seen our pipeline increase. As I said, as I reported, our numbers from Q3 to Q4 have gone up. But also our job for a company like ours is to actually, create a resilience in the portfolio. We, in the last 1.5 years, we have started focusing a lot more on the midstream and the downstream customers as well. When the oil is at the price level that it is, then the specialty chemical companies start to spend more money. They are smaller than size than the larger companies, but at least you start to create a resilience in the portfolio.
And that leads to growth.
And that leads to growth.
Right. So, even overall, can you just tell us that how volatility in the commodity prices and currencies is impacting the overall business? I mean, you're a big group, you have operations all across the world. Can you just tell us that how does it change the strategy?
With respect to L&T Infotech, I think we have gained more in treasury management because we have a very efficient treasury management. I think even this year, the way we have covered ourselves with respect to our earnings, we might do better than normal.
Right. So, if you could just start by telling us, as you said that a lot of network, from your existing clients comes from L&T Infotech. What is the sense that you're getting?
No, comes from L&T Group to L&T.
Sorry, from L&T Group to L&T Infotech. Can you just tell us when you talk to them, when you now talk to them about further spending, how important for them is IT spend, and do you think it is only going to increase, which will benefit L&T Infotech and Indian IT?
Well, I mean, as the economy improves, and in US it is improving somewhat, I think the spend is coming back, but in different format. It is really getting into more of new technologies. And new technology skills are very, very scarce right now, very scarce. And obviously their cost is therefore a little higher than the call it commodity skill. Right. And I think the cutback on the spend is going to once again start to come back from this year. We can already see it happening. IT is really gives strength to your ability to stand up in a competitive world. So nobody can afford not to spend where it belongs to very survival and competitiveness of the business. Right. So I see a opportunity to grow.
Right. So as far as large projects are concerned, or the project size overall is increasing globally. Do you think IT is playing a very important role in cutting the cost over there as well? So more spend may happen over there, but overall the cost of projects may come down. Is that something where you see a lot of spending for IT?
In a capital spend, I would say it has some effect. That means the cost does go down, right? But major gain comes from operation.
Right.
Once the capital project is over, how to cut the cost down on a continuing basis is really where the benefit comes even more.
Right. So just a word on the utilization. Your utilization versus peers is lower, and the attrition in the last 2 years has increased. Any particular reason, or it will normalize over a period of time?
See, in the last 2 years, our utilization has inched up. We see there is definitely 3-4 percentage points of benefit that we can drive up there as well. and we are in the process of doing that. The trajectory is in that line as well. As far as your question on the attrition goes, the entire industry saw our attrition actually peak up in the last few years. But our attrition has come down significantly, and it is trending towards a zone that I am very, very comfortable with.
Right. So is the attrition more because of better opportunities in e-commerce? E-commerce has been growing. I mean, is that an area? I mean, is that because last 2 years the industry saw attrition going up?
No, I think there is, there are many reasons. There are people going up for higher studies. There are people starting to go into the startup world and so on and so forth. But they have seen the turbulence there as well, and that's why if you read in the newspaper recently, the attrition rates have come down for the entire industry overall as well.
Right. Mr. Naik, just a last word. If you're comfortable and you're okay talking about the pickup in the economy, are you seeing any pickup in terms of activity? Not giving us numbers, are you comfortable talking about that?
Well, on the ground, I think it has still to be seen much more prominently. But I see signs of it improving.
And the private capex pickup?
It's unlikely to happen for quite some time because the banks are stressed, and that is due to, let's say, overspend by many private sector in the capital projects, and those capital projects are not necessarily doing well.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, and all the best for the IPO. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
That was the top management at L&T with us talking about their IPO, which is hitting the markets today.